The night before, Elon Musk's office was shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the glow of his computer screen. Detailed reports on Tesla's factory operations were being meticulously reviewed. Each page, each statistic failed to conceal the truth he could sense, a growing disconnect between the company's vision and the reality of its workers. Elon was never a traditional leader. Since the early days of founding SpaceX and Tesla, he believed in hands-on involvement, delving deeply into every detail. Reports and dry statistics were never enough for him. He sought to grasp the true essence of the problem. Recent reports had left him restless. Rising employee turnover rates, inconsistent production performance, and quiet murmurs of dissatisfaction among workers. Each number seemed to tell a story that official reports would never acknowledge. Elon's security team opposed the plan from the outset. "Too dangerous," Jack, the head of security, warned. "The risks to your identity and safety are too great." But Elon was resolute. He had faced far greater challenges than posing as a factory worker. That morning, Elon Musk stood before the mirror, his eyes contemplative. His usual hoodie had been replaced with the uniform of a Tesla factory worker. Loose-fitting safety goggles rested on his nose, and beside him lay a modest lunchbox. This decision wasn't impulsive. It was the result of sleepless nights and thorough analysis. Reports from the factory highlighted persistent issues: long working hours, unexplained delays, and silent frustrations. For someone obsessed with precision and progress, these issues felt like daggers to his core. Elon had prepared meticulously for this mission. A security team member helped him craft a complete employee profile. Dan Martinez, a technician transferred from a small plant in Arizona. The profile was detailed with valid documents and a convincing backstory. "I need to see what they see, feel what they feel," Elon told himself as he pulled on steel-toed boots. In the next room, his assistants continued debating security risks and the possibility of being exposed. But Elon Musk was resolute. He knew that to truly understand Tesla, he needed to experience it from the perspective of the workers, not through dry reports or distant meetings, but directly, moment by moment, on the production floor. This would be one of the boldest missions of his career, a globally renowned CEO posing as a factory worker. But for Elon, this wasn't a game. It was a serious endeavor to uncover the truth and connect with the people who truly created Tesla's value. Winter in Nevada was harsh. Outside the Gigafactory, cold winds swept across the desert. But inside, the heat from the machinery and the workers' relentless efforts created a dynamic, tense atmosphere. Elon arrived early. The parking lot was still mostly empty, with the faint light of dawn streaming through the enormous windows. He observed the slow gathering of people, worn-out cars, tired but resilient faces. Each person carried their own story, hidden hopes, and worries beneath the deep blue Tesla uniforms. The security check was swift. Employee badges were scanned, and metal detectors were used. Elon had meticulously prepared for this moment. The Dan Martinez employee profile was flawless, with no irregularities to draw suspicion. Inside the factory, the workspace felt like a colossal living organism. The production lines resembled circulatory systems, their lifeblood consisting of electric currents, metal components, and precision-guided parts. Robotic arms moved with unbelievable accuracy, tireless, flawless. Elon observed. He had once designed these systems, but now, as a worker, he was beginning to grasp their true complexity. Every machine told a story. Every component was a piece of a much larger picture. Todd, the supervisor, had a weathered look and eyes as sharp as a seasoned soldier. "Dan Martinez," he called, his voice commanding. "Over here. I'll show you your workstation." Elon, now Dan, followed. Every step was calculated. He needed to blend into this space seamlessly, leaving no trace of being anyone other than an ordinary worker. Eric, the employee assigned to directly train Elon, was a man around 35 years old. With a lean but muscular build honed by years of factory work, he regarded Dan with a scrutinizing gaze, neither welcoming nor warm. "Where did you work before?" Eric asked, his tone more interrogative than curious. "A small factory in Phoenix." Elon, now Dan, replied calmly, carefully choosing every word. Eric, the employee assigned to directly train Elon, was a man around 35 years old. With a lean but muscular build honed by years of factory work, he regarded Dan with a scrutinizing gaze, neither welcoming nor warm. "Where did you work before?" Eric asked, his tone more interrogative than curious. "A small factory in Phoenix." Elon, now Dan, replied calmly, carefully choosing every word. Elon's identity was concealed beneath a simple backstory. Dan Martinez, a technician transferring from a smaller plant. With some coaching and caution, he maintained the disguise flawlessly. Yet beneath the ordinary facade, Elon Musk was observing everything, every detail, every sound, every movement, with the precision of a scientist. He wasn't just another worker, he was a leader delving deeply into the realities of his company. The first hour of work was a relentless battle with himself. While Elon had managed billion-dollar companies, now he was learning how to tighten bolts properly and move through the production line without drawing attention. Eric watched Dan with the critical eye of a strict trainer, analyzing and evaluating every motion. Elon's hands, accustomed to navigating high-stakes boardrooms, were now struggling to master tools with speed and precision. "Slow down," Eric barked as Elon dropped a bolt for the third time. "We don't have all day to pick things up off the floor." Elon swallowed his instinct to retort, knowing that any reaction could risk exposing his identity. Instead, he simply nodded, picked up the bolt, and resumed his task. Inside, he allowed himself a small, amused smile. He had managed some of the most complex projects in the world, from electric cars to space rockets, yet tightening a bolt correctly now posed one of his greatest challenges. Sweat began soaking through his shirt, not from the heat, but from intense concentration. Every movement had to be precise, quick, and timely. The production line waited for no one. In these initial hours, Elon began to grasp the vast difference between an idea and its realization. He had designed these systems, laid out bold plans, but only now did he truly understand the complexity of each small detail. The factory air was thick with untold stories. Nearby, a middle-aged woman named Maggie was chatting with a colleague. "Overtime again this week," she sighed. "My daughter has a ballet recital, but I'll miss it." Elon listened closely. Stories like these never appeared in any reports he had read. This was the true heart of Tesla, the people, their hopes and dreams woven into every product. A young man named Luis stood next to him, sharing his story. "I'm saving up to go back to school. Every hour I work here matters," he said with determined eyes. Amid the noisy production line, Elon realized something profound. Every Tesla car was more than just a technological marvel. It was a collection of dreams, efforts, and personal stories. Nearby, a veteran named Mark moved slowly, his old injuries evident. Yet his eyes lit up as he spoke about his work. "I love the feeling of building something," he shared. "Every car we make is a piece of the future." The break between shifts arrived quickly. For the first time, Elon sat down, feeling the fatigue spreading through his body. His fingers ached, his back was sore. He realized he had only scratched the surface of what workers endured daily. Another surprising realization struck him: the creativity and adaptability of the labor force. When a machine broke down, no one waited idly for help. They found solutions using the tools at hand, guided by their ingenuity and experience. At that moment, Elon Musk wasn't a CEO. He was simply Dan, a factory worker learning, observing, and gradually uncovering the true essence of Tesla. The second day at the factory brought even deeper insights. The machinery, designed with Elon's pride and expertise, began to reveal unexpected flaws. The problem wasn't with its technological capabilities, but with its operation and the human factor. A malfunctioning robotic arm became a symbol of deeper issues. Initially, it was just minor shakes and imprecise movements. Eric, the supervisor, brushed it off. "Keep going," he told Elon. "Don't pay attention to it." But Elon couldn't ignore it. With the eyes of an engineer, he noticed every irregular motion. Machinery wasn't just metal and wires to him. It was a complex system, the result of thousands of hours of design and calculation. Conversations in the break room painted a clearer picture. Tasha, an experienced worker, remarked, "We've reported this problem multiple times. But who's listening?" Elon listened intently. Monthly reports and high-level meetings suddenly seem meaningless compared to these first-hand accounts. His sophisticated reporting system, once thought to be modern and efficient, appeared to have overlooked the most critical details. Another worker, Miguel, pointed to nearby equipment. "Look at that. It's been unstable for 2 months. We've been adjusting it ourselves to keep it running, but no one in management cares." The cracks in the production system became glaring. The relentless pressure to meet quotas weighed heavily on every worker. Unrealistic goals ignored real-world challenges, and any delay had cascading effects. Luis, the young man Elon had met earlier, explained, "We constantly have to make adjustments. If one machine fails, the whole line suffers, and the pressure never lets up." Elon began taking notes, not the kind from formal meetings, but observations from the ground. Each line was a sobering revelation about the system he had built. Workplace safety, an essential concern, was evidently neglected. Protective covers were outdated, and some safety equipment functioned poorly. Workers had to make their own adjustments to protect themselves. "We've learned to protect ourselves," Maggie shared, "not from official guidelines, but from experience and advice passed between colleagues." Elon realized that the culture within his company was fundamentally flawed. Innovation wasn't just about creating cutting-edge technology, it was about respecting and listening to the people who brought that technology to life. Stories of overtime, separated families, and delayed dreams etched themselves into Elon's mind. These weren't just numbers on a report, they were real lives. A new understanding began to take shape. Tesla wasn't just a technology company, it was a community, an ecosystem of individuals with their own hopes, efforts, and aspirations. Elon Musk, still in his guise as Dan, stood amidst the production line, realizing he was witnessing a quiet revolution. It wasn't a revolution of technology, but of how people were valued and empowered within an organization. Creativity, he noticed, often emerged from the harshest constraints. At Tesla's Gigafactory, every challenge became an opportunity for workers to overcome technological barriers with imagination and skill. One evening, as most employees had left for the weekend, a small group remained, not to work overtime, but to address issues management seemed to overlook. Luis, now a natural leader among them, stood before a welding machine that had been malfunctioning for weeks. Critical to production, the machine had become nearly useless. "What can we do?" asked Maria, a seasoned technician. Everyone knew reporting the issue to management would yield no quick results. Elon, still playing the part of Dan, watched intently. He realized this ingenuity wasn't taught in training sessions or executive meetings. It was survival instinct, practical intelligence forged through thousands of hours on the factory floor. Luis got to work, examining the machine with sharp eyes and skilled hands. Using spare parts from other broken equipment, he and the team repurposed wires, circuit boards, and metal scraps. "We'll bypass the main circuit board," Luis explained, "create a new connection for the essential modules." Elon was stunned. This was not a textbook solution. It was pure innovation born of deep understanding and necessity. An hour later, the welding machine was running again. Not perfectly, but functional enough to keep production going. The satisfaction and pride in everyone's eyes spoke louder than words. "We did it," Maria said, a victorious smile on her face. "Again." Elon jotted notes, not the sterile bullet points of formal reports, but vivid observations of human creativity. He realized that groundbreaking innovation often didn't come from laboratories or executive offices, but from the hands of those directly involved in the work. The welding machine was just the beginning. Over the following days, Elon witnessed even more ingenuity. A tool was modified to better fit the workers' hands. A production process was streamlined through small but clever adjustments. Sarah, a young engineer, designed a support tool to lift heavy components. "I'm tired of carrying this weight all day," she explained, "so why not create a solution?" Every innovation was born from practical needs, not lofty ideas. It came from lived experiences on the factory floor, where necessity and creativity met to drive progress in ways Elon had never fully appreciated before. Elon Musk gradually realized something profound. Innovation is not about technology, it's about people. It's about their ability to adapt, create, and push past limitations. These workers, once perceived as mere cogs in the system, now stood before him as true innovators. They weren't just assembling electric cars, they were constantly improving and innovating to make everything better. Elon knew he was witnessing a revolution, not one heralded in strategic reports, but a quiet, organic revolution, driven by the very people on the factory floor. The final morning of his undercover mission arrived with an air of significance. Elon, still posing as Dan, sensed the shift from the very first hours. Something was about to change, and he knew it. The morning meeting began as usual. Rows of tired yet focused workers listened as supervisors delivered dry reports on productivity and quotas. The cold numbers failed to capture the humanity behind them. Luis sat next to Elon, still unaware of his true identity. "Just another day," Luis whispered. Elon nodded, though inside he was preparing for a pivotal moment. As the supervisors wrapped up their reports, Elon stood. Silence immediately filled the room, not because of who he was, but because the act itself was unusual. "I need to say something," his voice broke through the ambient noise. Louis squinted at him. "Dan, what's going on?" Elon, now fully ready to reveal himself, had prepared for this moment throughout his time on the factory floor. It wasn't a scripted speech or polished words from a boardroom. It was the raw truth forged from days of real work and observation. "I'm not Dan Martinez," he began. "I'm Elon Musk." A second of silence. Then came the reactions. Whispers, disbelieving laughter, skeptical glances. "You're joking, right?" a voice called out from the back of the room. Elon slowly removed his helmet and safety goggles. He stood tall, no longer Dan, the factory worker, but Elon Musk, Tesla's CEO. "I've been working here for a week," he continued, "not to supervise, not to inspect, but to learn, to truly understand what's happening in this factory." Luis, who had worked closely with Elon over the past week, looked as though he had just been hit by a shockwave. "Is this for real?" he asked, stunned. Elon nodded. "Every day I've spent here, I've learned more than I ever imagined. About your creativity, about the challenges no report could ever capture." The atmosphere in the room shifted. What began as doubt turned into curiosity, and eventually something that resembled hope. "We are going to change," Elon declared. "Not from the top down, but from right here, from all of you. Your ideas will be heard. Issues with safety and equipment will be addressed." Tasha, the worker Elon had met when she was injured by faulty machinery, raised her hand. "Really?" she asked, her voice tinged with skepticism, but also with hope. "Really," Elon affirmed. "We're going to build a new system where everyone is heard and respected." The room erupted, not in applause, but in a flurry of questions, stories, and ideas that had been buried for too long. Elon Musk had achieved many extraordinary feats in his career, but this moment, standing among Tesla's workers, might be one of the most pivotal. The weeks that followed marked a quiet revolution at Tesla. It wasn't a headline-grabbing announcement, but a profound internal transformation born from Elon's undercover experience. The company's communication and reporting systems were overhauled entirely. Elon introduced a direct innovation forum where every employee could share ideas and concerns without bureaucratic delays. Luis, who had helped repair the welding machine during Elon's time on the floor, became one of the first to be heard. His proposal to adjust the production line was not only accepted but implemented swiftly, resulting in increased efficiency and reduced workload pressure. Tasha, once injured by faulty equipment, was appointed head of a new workplace safety team. It wasn't a symbolic role, but a position with real authority to implement change. Machinery across the factory was inspected and upgraded comprehensively. But this time, engineers worked directly with workers like Luis, Sarah, and Miguel. The people who knew the machines best were the ones who worked with them every day. This transformation wasn't about technology alone. It was about valuing people, empowering them to contribute, and building Tesla not just as a company, but as a community. Tesla's training programs were completely redesigned, not as dry, theoretical sessions, but as practical courses centered on workers' real-life experiences. Miguel was encouraged to share the techniques he had developed to resolve technical issues, while Sarah was given the opportunity to turn her support tools into official products. The company's culture underwent a profound transformation. High-level meetings now regularly included production workers, not as passive listeners, but as equal contributors. Elon Musk also introduced a groundbreaking tradition, Real Experience Day. Each quarter, senior managers would spend a week working in various positions across the company, not to supervise, but to learn and truly understand the challenges employees faced. The results were more than procedural changes. They were a shift in spirit. Employees began to feel respected and heard. Turnover rates dropped, productivity soared, and most importantly, passion and creativity flourished. Word of Tesla's transformation spread beyond the company. Other organizations took notice. How could a CEO dedicate a week to working alongside factory employees? How could simply listening lead to such significant change? In an interview, Elon Musk reflected, "Innovation isn't about technology, it's about people, about respecting and trusting in their abilities." Luis, who worked alongside Elon during those initial days, had since risen to a managerial position. "I've learned that I'm more important than I ever thought," he said. "Not just a worker, but a vital part of the mission." Elon Musk's week on the factory floor became a legend in the tech world. More importantly, it stood as a lesson in leadership, empathy, and the transformative power of listening. How did this story resonate with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found value in this inspiring story, like the video to support us. Subscribe to our channel to never miss new stories. Leave a comment to share your perspective. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like for more inspiring content. See you in the next story star.